Traders, this is a very important week in the stock market. We have a new presidential administration. What does that imply? It means we have more volatility. When you have 200 plus executive orders in the first few days of a new administration, that means there's a lot of regulation that could affect businesses and overall affect the economy, which obviously is going to impact the stock market. So there's a lot of volatility in the market. There's also volatility for things like crypto, right? This is an administration that's supposed to be really pro crypto. Less regulations. Less regulation is higher Bitcoin prices, etc. We look at Bitcoin. Let's start off by looking at Bitcoin. So it's made a beautiful move, obviously, in Q4, and we're getting this entire, consolidation here recently. This is beautiful, right? So what I'm looking for here is basically just a breakout to new highs, right? So we've seen some consolidation here. This is the weekly. And basically, we're just looking for the breakout to new highs, the next leg higher. I think that's definitely a possibility in Q1 of 25. We'll see what happens, but I really like it. And as a result, I've picked up a few trades in relation to Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy, I bought that back. And then I think I took an IBIT position also on last week on Friday. And also Robinhood. So we'll see how those go. However, we have a few names that I'm also watching, or one name I'm watching this week for Bitcoin. So that's Mara. And this is a Bitcoin miner. The miners have traditionally they're traditionally laggards after, a big move. So you have a big initial surge. Miners are usually one of those first names to get the big surge, and then they become a laggard in comparison to some other, crypto stocks. In this case, it was MicroStrategy really was the most popular crypto name. But anyway, so Mara looks really nice on the weekly, right? As you can see, we're making some higher lows here. So higher lows, and then you have lower highs. So overall, pretty tight action, or it's tightening up on the weekly, and it looks like it's ready to maybe get a breakout, right? So if Bitcoin breaks out, this is something that's most likely going to follow through. So those are just key things to watch. Will that happen this week? Who knows? There is a lot of volatility surrounding Bitcoin over the last 24 hours. We've seen some pretty large swings, right? This is to see, does the new administration take some action to deregulate crypto, or pass some legislation in relation to crypto early on? It's not expected, so that's why Bitcoin has dropped a little bit. However, we'll have to see. Obviously, you're dealing with an administration that is quite volatile. So, yeah. Okay, let's get into a few other names because we have a lot of setups. I'm just going to cover some of my favorite names for the week. But DATS, this is a name that exploded on Thursday, it was? Yes, exploded on Thursday. And unfortunately, I didn't get in. I'd been watching it like a hawk, and I just decided not to take it because I saw pretty much everything on my watch list dropping that day. It was up 13%. I almost pulled the trigger. Didn't take it, right? Everything on the watch list was dropping, so I was like, let me just not do that. And then you get a 60% squeeze. Obviously, if I was watching a little bit closer that day, I probably would have taken an entry at some point before, that big squeeze, but it is what it is. Anyway, you look at the daily time frame right now, and you say to yourself, wow, this is pretty nice, right? So you have obviously some higher lows. It's just moving higher, above that moving average, and it's tightening up, right? So we have some tight action, right? Pretty nice little flag on the daily there. You have a 37 ADR, right? So there's huge momentum on this name. This is the type of name that could double in a day, right? So 37% ADR. I think we all know that's massive. If you do not know what an ADR is, it's basically referring to the average move from the top of a candle to the bottom of a candle, right? And it's averaged out over several days, right? So like, let's just pretend this day, right, was let's just say this was 30% right here, right? This day, from the top of this candle to the bottom of this candle is 30%. You take that for every day and then you average it out, rolling average, that's your ADR, right? So in this case, it's 37%. So every day from top to bottom of the candle, right, from the beginning to the end of the day, that thing's moving on average 37, 38%. That is huge, right? So when you have huge ADR and it's, the stock has a lot of momentum, you're going to get some pretty good results. So anyway, this is one of those names that can get really explosive, So we looked on the hourly and it already broke out, in this move right here, but it's kind of just part of the bigger picture, I think, right? Like you look and you zoom out and you say to yourself, well, look, there's a pretty interesting development right here. So I think DATS, this is one to watch going into the week. I'm excited about this one. I think there's a lot of potential, and we've seen it before in 2021. This thing has that explosive potential. The ADR, obviously, we're aware this thing can really explode. So I like it. AVGO, a little bit of a larger cap here. Broadcom. This thing had some beautiful earnings in the end of 2024. It gapped up and has basically just been consolidating since. So we're looking for a little bit of like a delayed EP, if you will, right? So it's made the gap up and it's just consolidating. We're basically waiting for the continuation of momentum. So clearly there were some really nice earnings here, right? Companies showing great numbers. Investors are excited. Does the stock get the next wave higher now? Next leg of momentum? I think it's probably time soon. So looks really nice. There's a couple ways to trade this. You have a leveraged ETF for Broadcom now. Obviously, you can do options. You could just buy Broadcom, even though it's a little bit of a slower mover, right? It's an ADR of about 3.8. So it's a little bit of a slower mover. However, to each their own. However you like to manage risk, however you like to just overall structure your risk, that's up to you. So whether you want to leverage ETF, options on something like this, or just buy AVGO, whatever. As long as there's a good setup with some good volume and you have a tight stop loss, right? So you have good RR to begin with. That's the most important aspects. OKLO. So this is a little bit interesting. I don't know how much it really plays into the new administration, but a lot of the nuclear uranium names really rallied from the election, right? Because the new administration does believe that uranium and nuclear energy is a good energy solution. So, but I'm looking at OKLO here, and obviously we know that it made a beautiful run in Q4. And after it made this initial surge here from about, call it $6 to a high of 28, which is a beautiful move, obviously, it really hasn't done much. And we've looked at several opportunities here, to maybe get in that breakout. And I've taken a couple trades, break evens recently. But I think this really feels like it's ready to go. I really think that it's received the necessary support, right? Making these higher lows. And you have this key level here. I think it's time for a big breakout. And again, the risk reward is beautiful, right? You have a very tight stop loss. You can set your stop loss very close to your entry, and the upside is huge. So whenever you have big upside and a very tight stop loss, it implies you have great risk reward, which is the name of the game, right? Having small losers, cutting your losers quickly, and letting your winners ride and let them become as large as possible, really. So, when we can accomplish that, we're obviously profitable, and that is the name of the game. So OKLO fits right into that criteria. So RR, this is a robotics name. I like this one a lot. It's had a beautiful rally into this current consolidation. Another huge ADR. This is another 36.5% ADR. So bouncing off the 20 EMA, now it's trying to get above that 10 EMA. It's close to that breakout level. I would basically call the breakout level above Thursday's highs. I would say 3.5, $3.50 is that breakout level. That's what I'd be looking for. So breakout over that level, and then once you get over that level or right at it, you should see some really strong volume, and that would probably be my trigger to get in a trade like this. So again, tight stop loss, trigger when there's some volume coming in, and this could be a really big winner. It has the right look to it. It's in a pretty hot sector. The robotics names have done really well. For example, UMAC. I don't even know what UMAC's looking like at the moment, but that was a great trade going into the end of the year. As you can see, it made a massive move, and I did pretty well with this one. It's not doing much right now. It looks like it could be setting up on the weekly. I can just see it from here. Go to the weekly. Starting to develop something. I may be interested in this by the end of the week. We'll see, but RR for sure looks really good. Another robotics name, which I wasn't even planning on talking about, in this video, but while we're on the subject, KITT. This is another robotics name. It has pulled off significantly from those highs, but you can see it's pretty tight here. If you go to the hourly, you'll see it even more in depth. Might as well just look at it on the hourly. You can see, right? So breakout over here, tight risk. So, you know, that's good for the R, obviously. If you can get a nice move with some, if you can get, you know, breakout with nice volume, this thing could make a retracement 4.5. You know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to take out these highs, but you can get a nice retracement, and obviously retracement to even like 350 is really solid move. You know, 50% plus move. You know, in a matter of like one day, and you have a very tight stop loss. It's a good trade. So the robotics names are certainly interesting right now. Just another one to keep on your watch list. MVST, Microvast. This is a name that I purchased at about 66 was my entry, and I wrote it up to about $2. Well, I was still in here. I sold the remainder about 2.7, but most of it was sold on this day here. Anyway, it's looking really good right now. As you can see, it's just moving in waves, right? So you get big move up, consolidation, big move up, consolidation, big move up, and we're seeing some great consolidation here. Every day is a higher low. The volume is very low, so you have a lot of accumulation here. So any big surge in volume will probably send this thing to new highs. It's just a great looking chart. And by the way, this is like one of these micro cap stocks, but they reported positive earnings, right? So they reported positive earnings, right? So this is great, you know, to see when a company that's a penny stock trading at $2, you know, typically, obviously the price of a stock doesn't necessarily affect its quality, but typically, you know, most penny stocks or stocks under $5 are to the lower quality. However, this just reported positive earnings. Now, again, that could be due to some accounting stuff, but overall, they've been on the verge of being profitable for quite a while. So to break through, get profitable, you know, this is a name that's interesting. And also, I believe their revenues are going up. I haven't looked at that in a while, but yeah, okay. So quarter over quarter here, revenues were up. Okay, that was pretty stagnant. Okay, so revenues don't really appear to be increasing that significantly, but they did report positive earnings. You know, I'm not diving deep into this company, but for the most part, we're focused on the actual setup and obviously just how our risk structure looks. ADR is 21. This is a name that's been really good for us in Q4, and I think it's definitely has tons of potential over the next week or so, and we will see. I'm quite excited about this name. Okay, so we have one more left, or did we go over it already? Mara. Bitcoin, interesting to me. Mara, weekly setup. I think we already went over that. So I think that covers this video. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Please sub. If you want to learn more about swing trading, go to the Discord in the description. It is 100% free, and I'll see you guys later.